and it had two entrances from two parallel streets. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So you could come into the yard and into that street of that address, and on the other side there was a store where they store selling paper, pencils,
Mm-hmm.
all kind of paperwork. So I came in, and when I was under that house, I came out, and outside two German policemen arrested me. And they asked me what I am doing here. I said I was coming from the railway station, and I wanted to buy some paper and pencil and pen. They took me to the office, the police office, and they interrogated me, and they asked me if I know that name of that guy, of that Polish underground member. I said, I never heard such name. I don't know who you are talking about. They beat me up. They put me in jail. And then they interrogated me again in jail, again asking me about that guy. Now I had my Polish ID, the real one, so they did not suspect that I was a Jew. They were looking for a Polish underground member. So, there was no connection. So, they didn't release me. They beat me up again, and since they couldn't get anything, I spent, it took almost a month in the prison before every time when they had enough prisoners they took them from the prison and sent them to Auschwitz. But not to the extermination camp, to the main Auschwitz camp, concentration camp, where Polish people were. And I became a Polish prisoner in Auschwitz. Now, whatever I found out about the extermination of Jews, I found out from the people who were, from the prisoners who were on behalf of the prisoner administration of these camps, and they were going back and forth to Birkenau and Auschwitz. They lived in Auschwitz camp, but they were going back and forth with all kinds, they had taken orders and taken documents or whatever, a lot of things. And they told me exactly what was going on. So although I didn't see it with my own eyes, I knew exactly what was going on there. So that's how I can, no, I don't know, people regard me as a Holocaust survivor, but I was not, I was not within the people who were supposed to die in the Holocaust. But anyway, that's how it was. And I spent about 4 months in Auschwitz. Now, when every prisoner that was brought into a concentration camp, I came in a group of 1,000 men from Kielce prison. So that group was, we had everybody who came got a number, and the number was how you call it?
Your identification, or?
Yeah. When you came to the prison, to the concentration camp, they registered you, they gave you a number, and they put you in a first, the newcomers in every concentration camp, they were put in a separate block because they, at that time, many people were transmitting bacteria, especially typhoid,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted to avoid the spread of contagious illness among the, not so much the prisoners, but also it would infect the guards, the Germans, the SS, the whole administration, because it would be very hard to control that. So every new prisoner was put in a separate barrack, and for 2 weeks they were separated from other prisoners. But every day after work, the prisoners who came back from work, and they found out there is a new bunch of prisoners came to the camp, they came and they were shouting, and we were looking out of the windows, and they were asking, is there anybody from Warsaw? Is there anybody from they named the
Mm-hmm.
towns from where they came, and they tried to find out what was going on, And also they gave us advice how to behave, what to do in order to, to accommodate better, to get a easier job or something. So, you know, when they brought me to Auschwitz and I was registering, they asked me my occupation, and I said I was a student. Oh, that was bad. I mean, that when the prisoners, the old prisoners told me, a student is bad because you will go to the harder work. It's best in a concentration camp to have some profession or you know, be a craftsman. So I learned that, and after our term, also I forgot an instance where I got a fever, and I was taken to the hospital inside the camp. And there, one of the doctors was a Polish doctor, prisoner. I didn't tell him who I was, but I knew his name, and I knew that he was a doctor of my father. But I didn't tell him. You know, I was very cautious. I suspected everybody. But anyway, since he knew that I am from our hometown, Płock, and he was from Płock, and he was a doctor not only in the camp, but he was also a doctor in the hospital for the German administration. She stole some medication, and he gave me so that my fever went down, and he said as soon before the end of the week he released me from the hospital back, because he said at the end of the week they are always coming and they were checking and taking those prisoners who were weak, they were taking to the gas chambers. Also, gas chambers were also not only in the extermination camp, but also in the main concentration camp. There was not gas chamber, a crematorium where they burned the bodies. So, because when a prisoner died, they didn't bury him, they just burned him in the crematorium. So anyway, so I came back to the group, to the barrack where the rest of my group was, and they sent the whole group to a sub-camp of Auschwitz, but not extermination camp. They started building a factory of the German chemical company. One of the most, I forgot the name of the company, one of the main German chemical companies. And Okay. Okay. Uh, they were building a new factory, and they used the prisoners from Auschwitz. They put up barracks for the group of prisoners they brought from Auschwitz, and we stayed in those barracks, and we were now also when we came to that place, that chemical plant was built to make synthetic rubber. Synthetic rubber, the name of the synthetic rubber was Buna, you know, because the Germans didn't have access to the trees that from where they made rubber, natural rubber. So they invented synthetic rubber, and they were making that rubber. They called the synthetic rubber, they called Buna. So they named the place of the camp, named Buna. So when we were taken to Buna, and the next morning they registered us. So they asked me what my profession. I didn't say I am a student. I said, and also I knew that they were building you know, my memory doesn't work.
Yeah.
But anyway, I said that I was a worker. How you call workers that I forgot the word in English. A worker that works with wood, you know, wood builder of wood.
Carpenter?
Carpenter, so they told me, you say you are a carpenter, then they will not put you in the hardest work, digging, but you will work with carpenters. And the carpenters were building positions for anti-aircraft guns. They had to be built around in the ground, put wooden walls and so on. So that was work that was better. And so I was working in Buna. 1 year later, after I was in Buna, we were taken from Buna. We were taken later. The whole group was taken to Hamburg Neuengamme concentration camp. And 1 year later, one of the prisoners in Buna was an Italian Jew, an Italian chemist. because they, when they arrested him and he registered as a chemist, so they wanted him to work in the factory. A year after my presence there, the factory was already built and they were starting, the labs and everything, so they need. And that Jewish chemist, Italian chemist, he wrote a book after he survived, after the war. He wrote a book, Survival in Auschwitz, and that was about his experiences in the Buna camp. I have that book. Okay, so let's go back to my story. Okay, so as I told you, I worked in Buna for, I don't remember exactly for how many months, and then they transferred the whole group from Kielce prison that we came to Hamburg Neue